Hi, welcome. Hi everyone to the campaign is called None of Us Are Going Back. A Songs for the Dusk campaign. But let's first go around and like say hi, introduce ourselves. Let's start with Dingo. Hi.
Hi.
How's your
I'm
week
Dingo.
been?
It's been honestly kind of stressful. It's been stressful and really tiring. And a lot of my games have gotten canceled or pushed back. So it's nice to finally play. But other than that, it's been okay.
Nice. Yeah, I had I already had a game tonight of Fiasco. Played a one shot
How'd that go?
of pretty good. This was actually in German on a German channel. From the people who also are doing the translation of Lovecraft Dusk, which is also actually a neat game. Yeah. But first time I ran production for them.
I haven't played Fiasco yet, so I don't know. I've heard it's really good, but I know nothing about it other than
it's really impro heavy.
The Fiasco.
Yeah. But it's pretty neat. Yeah, and hi Robin.
Hi.
How are you?
I had to find the mute button. I'm doing okay. Doing all right. I had a midterm this week, and I'm a little bit mad about it because today they announced that all in-person midterms are canceled. So I'm mad because it had just happened, 2 days later.
Okay.
I wouldn't have had to write it.
Okay, but it's not like it doesn't count or anything.
It still counts.
It still counts. Okay. Well, that can also be a bad thing, right?
Yeah. For better and for worse.
Yeah. Yeah. It's super strange. Everything feels super strange because it's so palpable. Everyone has this weird mood. And it seems to hit everyone. Yeah. But we also got Taylor. Hey, Taylor. Like, first time I'm jamming something for you, right?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, no, I'm excited for that. I think my week has probably been significantly less stressful than it could have been because I took Thursday and Friday off as vacation time because I was going to go to Emerald City for like the whole block and do all this stuff in Seattle, and there was a Dorian Electra concert that I was going to go to in Seattle, but then everything got canceled. And so I sure kept my vacation time. And so I bought a new vacuum cleaner, and I have been cleaning my home. And I launched a Kickstarter, and that's stressful. But I have been mostly keeping 6 feet of distance between me and other human beings. I am not looking forward to going back to work in my effectively service industry job where I interact with a lot of people and their money.
Yeah.
But,
I had a...
But you... Go ahead.
Yeah, no, like, because I came back, I had it has been a weird week for me as well. I drove back from Berlin yesterday morning. Like, I was in the car at 6 o'clock in the morning and drove 6 hours. I did work today. So it's but everything's moving into remote work. Luckily, like, we can do that without too much hassle. But it's still strange. And my client right now is like has to do with public transportation as well. So it's
oh yeah, that's got to be a thing. I think you're totally right, though. Like, because anywhere you go, it feels like there's a mood, and it's all anybody is talking about. Just being distant from humans and staying healthy.
Yeah, and it's all. Yeah.
I was gonna say today is like the first day in a couple of weeks that I've gone and hung out with my brother and his wife because they were sick. Yeah, so
Yeah.
I'm a rebel, I guess. I'm also kind of stupid.
There's also this weird thing where everything gets cancelled, which also means even your stay-at-home distractions fall away. So I don't think any of you. I mean, like, football is not happening this weekend. Like, not at all. Like, not even in front of empty stadiums, and that's like a weird thing.
My brother was like, "You know what I would be doing right now? Was watching hockey."
Yeah.
I was like, "I'm sorry, Sean.
I'm sorry for your loss."
But
One thing that's been weird is everybody is making a statement about it. Like, I've gotten so many emails, just like from the random spam things that I get, where just like every company has to issue a statement. And I'm bringing this up too because I just got an email from Barnes and Noble, because every now and then I get Barnes and Noble, the bookstore, emails. But this one's super weird, and if it's all right, I'd like to read it. It's very short. It says, "Dear reader, we're living through turbulent times together. Our booksellers are your neighbors, your friends, and your family. Your stories are our stories, and we know how resilient our communities are. Sincerely, Barnes and Noble." Like that's the message.
Okay.
Like, it's
it's
powerful,
nice.
but like, I don't get it.
Like, most of
Weird.
the emails that I've getting have been like, "Okay, so there's a disease and it's fatal in some cases. Here's what we're doing to prevent or like the spread of disease." And it's just like, we're a community. Yeah.
Yeah, I would
Thank you,
expect
Barnes
them
and
to like
Noble.
include a note like, "We're also going to Lysol all our books."
Yeah, some of these messages have been like, where I'm like, one of those, like I saw something for like students who now like can't attend and have to move, and like storage space for them.
Yeah.
And it's like, it's nice that you're giving them like 30-day free storage space, but the real thing here is you're counting on like half of them missing out on canceling that in time and having to pay in 30 days, right? Like, that's the feeling I get from half of these mails.
Yeah, I don't know how U-Haul is like handling that, whether you have to, I imagine you would have to like put down your credit card or something like that. So that would be really shitty if at the end of 30 days, most of them probably aren't going to remember to cancel that.
Like, I've never been happier to live off campus. Because I'm like, I'm sorry if you guys get kicked out. Like, that sucks for you, but I live in a house. So,
yeah.
Woo!
Well, I guess the good thing is we all have a hobby that's very well suited for this kind of situation.
I was like, I've never played a tabletop game in person, so
yeah,
I'm good.
So I guess let's move over to what we're actually doing here tonight. So we're going to be playing songs for the Dusk, which is a Forged in the Dark role-playing game about a crew of brave and passionate adventurers exploring the ruins of a broken world and building a new world from the ruins of an old one. There are mysteries, rescues, escapes, high-tech skirmishes, arcane powers, steel ruins framed by pastel twilight, and new experiences around every corner. We play to find out if the crew can truly build something good and kind among the teeming threats of warring factions, tyrant monarchs, strange technologies, new magics, uncanny beasts, and the crew's own foibles and quirks. This game is optimistic and hopeful in tone, and these adventurers are genuinely interested in helping the people around them. This doesn't mean that your characters can't be flawed or can't have selfish desires. Just that at the very least they should be significantly invested in the altruistic mission of the crew. And what that is going to be, we'll find out. We'll talk about that. We'll be playing. We have safety tools set up. We've got lines and veils, and we're going to be using X and O cards. X card is type on X in chat, or say I want to X that, or like be dramatic and go like this. That's for if something comes up in the game that you do not want to have to be part of the fiction. We can remove it with that. No explanation required. We'll just move on, take the narrative in a different direction. The end card is if we might be moving up to something sensitive or a line to just make everyone aware of this. And the O card is for those times should it get emotional, to communicate that yes, this is what we're here for. We want to have more of this, or to check in with like an O question mark in chat, or just like forming an O with your hand, to see if in a tense situation the other players are ready to push further ahead in that direction. Yeah. So we'll do a little bit of character creation today, and hopefully a little bit of playing. I think I would like to read the little blurb I made as a pitch for what this game might be about, so that we all have a general idea, reminder where this might be going. Imagine a metallic ship-shaped bulk floating a couple of dozen yards above a green meadow. In its shadow, a herd of strangely familiar livestock following it. The ship hovers, seemingly by the means of iridescent bluish discs that emit a gentle hum under its keel. And yet, it is not propelled by combustion or electricity-powered jets or turbines, but by the winds. Broad sails blow wide and slowly move the great mass over the ridges of these rolling hills. Because it is not just a ship, but a village. Little spindly houses crest its deck and give it a discombobulated silhouette. It's a nomadic, floating village that has slipped through the greedy fingers of the Red Empire into the Great Meridian Valley. A new neighbor to the loosely connected settlements of the region. How will they react? And how will the distant powers respond when they hear of this marvelous discovery? And you? You all belong to the people who have found refuge on this ship, no matter if you grew up near it or if you just joined recently. But then who are you, and how do you relate to this little community? Are you its augurs, couriers, magpies, rangers, or silvers? Yeah. So first thing we actually need to do is create characters. Or do we want to take a peek at the setting first? How do you all feel about this?
I would say my character feels pretty like, if I want to start by describing my character, then
I mean you as
pretty
players.
well together. Yeah, I know.
Okay.
I'm just saying I'm a little more prepared on the character forefront than I am on the setting forefront.
Well then, do you all have the book in front of you by chance?
I do.
I can. I didn't remember if I downloaded it or not. I will look.
It's also in the links. Because then I don't want to spend a whole lot of time on it. The way it's set up is there's enough stuff that's very suggestive on the surface in the lore, but it's not like nothing of it is like we can make everything our own, right?
Yeah, it's not set in stone.
Yeah, it's all meant as prompts more. All those things are more prompts than like hard requirements. But if we do have that open, then I would ask you to turn. It's actually page 2 or 16, depends how your PDF viewer handles that. It's right at the beginning, chapter 1, the basics.
Mm-hmm.
And it says setting there.
Oh yeah, I think I read this part, and I read about the different regions because I wanted to know where I wanted to be from.
Yeah, so that's already, I think, pretty helpful. But I think I would suggest we just read under setting the paragraphs and just take turns with the paragraphs. How does that sound?
That sounds great.
Yeah,
Since I have it.
Cool.
Who wants to start?
I'll start since I have it pulled up.
Yeah.
You said page 2, the setting?
Mm-hmm.
Once, Earth was radiant. It was an era of miracles, prosperity like the world had never seen, machines that could touch the fabric of reality itself, science that could open the very heavens to us. Then came the cataclysm, the sudden and sequential collapse of every major society on the planet, the natural disasters that tore the sky asunder and ripped the continents to shreds. And then, after that, came this, the world of now, in which we can finally rebuild. That's how the legends go, at least. Not everyone agrees with the traditional wisdom, and now we're starting to worry that maybe we see the world through rose-colored glasses. Can we really trust that it was a more prosperous time? Can we brush away its inequalities and oppressions as minor flaws in an otherwise fair system? Or were those failures the very engine that enabled those societies to survive?
Bill,
I think you're still muted, Robin.
Oh, am I?
Oh, you're not now.
Okay. Still, whatever the Radiant Era was like, it's lost to us forever. Now we live in a new world, and we're still trying to understand it. The continents are littered with the ruins of what came before, and a strange force is woven through the fabric of reality, something arcane and supernatural, and maybe even a little divine. All of us can feel it, flickering at the edges of our souls, and with enough practice, we can run it through our muscles and shape it with our hands. Even our maps had to be redrawn. You can pick up. Rock, paper, scissors.
I don't know. I wasn't paying attention. Okay. Even our maps had to be redrawn. The cataclysm broke the continents to pieces and rearranged them according to its own mysterious whim. And the world is coping with the fallout. Songs for the Dusk takes place in the backwater subcontinent of Tamaris, an out-of-the-way region separated from its larger landmass by a range of sharp-peaked mountains. Tamaris is made up of 7 major regions, and as its people struggle to care for themselves, threats emerge to undo their work. A ravenous empire in the north, a colonial kingdom in the south, and tens of petty factions vying for power and control.
You stand in the overgrown ruins of what was once a miraculous techno-dystopia, with magic dancing at your fingertips and coursing like rivers through the ground underneath you. And you have a chance to make sure that this world doesn't turn out like the last one did. I really love this section. It gives a very powerful tone what it's going for.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that can inform how we actually create characters. And to do this, we jump to page 35. And I think here it's probably useful to pull up your actual sheet to give you a quick overview of what's what on these sheets.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of this we'll just get to when we need to get to it. On the far right, you have where it says analysis, kinesis, and semiosis. You have your action ratings. Those are the typical stats kind of things. The number of dots you will have in these things will determine your starting dice pools for rolling this kind of stuff. What you find under load and items is are all the things that you generally have access to. You usually pick that kind of stuff when you need it. You don't have to, you're not running around with everything on that at once. You pick it once you need it to.
I like that.
Because you're all capable adventurers. So we can just assume you come prepared to a certain degree and have the kind of stuff with you that you will need to have with you.
Mm-hmm.
All right. I think you all familiarized yourself with what the basic playbooks are that you can have access to, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Do you all have a 1 or 2 sentence concept of what kind of character you want to go for? Very rough idea, or?
Yeah, I can go first.
Yeah.
So I'm playing a kestrel named Noon, and he was basically thawed out of a facility, a ruin, with no memories, and was spent a lot of his has spent I think the past 10 years traveling with a religious group, but not a part of it because, he can't perform the rites or whatever based on who he is. And now he's setting out on his own to figure out who he wants to be in this world.
Nice.
I like that a lot.
Yeah.
I am playing Hyacinth, and they are a witch. And my idea for them is they were a field researcher. The background I picked was academic. So they were a field researcher in the Plaga region, which was the string of islands and a lot of banyan trees, I think is what they're called, but the forests that grow out of the water, kind of swampy beach region, which is why I've been referring to Hyacinth as the Swamp Witch. I think what we're going to figure out is exactly why or how they learn about the ship and go towards that. But yeah, as an academic, there's definitely that interest in I want to learn more about a ship that flies.
Yeah. Yeah, that's cool. That sounds perfect. So the way I'm going to be thinking is the little blurb I read in the beginning is like probably the if that were like in world stuff that someone had like written up or talked to about, it's probably going to be from like after this session or next session, because what we'll be jumping into today, hopefully with a little bit of play, is getting this thing actually off the ground for the very first time. And it'll be your characters who have like, each of you have like a key or some way, some contribution to make to get it off the ground. And there'll be some pressure, and we'll talk about what the pressure actually is, that the people who've arrived here at this, like, where a couple of folks have built houses on this old relic thing, why they're here, what they might be running from, or maybe what they just want to avoid. We'll find out about that, and try to tie that in. That's actually like a good question. I was thinking probably we'll go for like 3 hours runtime. Does that sound fine with everyone?
Yeah. I'm in PST, so it's still early for me.
Take a break at the top of the hour. Something like that.
Sounds good.
Cool.
I don't have as much of a clear vision of my character yet, but I have a little bit that we can probably build off of. So for Paloma, he goes by Pal. He's the Aegis, and I was thinking of having him, and I was basing this off of a lot of what the book had to say about Pine Lock. So I had him come from Pine Lock, and I was thinking, it's this small town where in the books it says it's very sort of isolated, and it's sort of moving towards being more isolated. And I kind of thought that the whole sort of culture of the town is it's a very close-knit community, but there's a sense of looking the other way for things, and sort of, if you see something wrong and you're not involved, it's just not my problem. And that's kind of how most people in the town feels. And I was sort of thinking that Pal had a very different view of things, wanting to help and wanting to go out there and be less isolated from the rest of the world and see what's out there and help, and sort of do something about the feeling of fear that causes his hometown to isolate itself so much. He wants to protect people. He doesn't want anybody to feel afraid. And so I think that's kind of a big part of why he sort of, I think it was a very hard decision for him. I had his background be in labor. He's a farmer. I think he comes from a very big farming family, lots of kids, lots of aunts and uncles, and all kind of living either nearby or together. And I think it was very tough for him. But I forgot. I lost my train of thought. But essentially, that's kind of what I have so far. Is that's his whole sort of belief for going out there, is that he he doesn't think the same. And I think it kind of caused a little bit of divide between his family. Like, I think his family is still, I don't want to make a not supportive family, because I always do that. I think his family is very supportive of him, but I just don't think they understand why he would want to, come out of isolation and try and bridge the gap between his community and the rest of the world.
Yeah.
Okay, so Dingo, you started.
I
was just going to say you started that with you don't have much, but I love how what you described was so much of like the heart and soul of the character.
Yes.
You even hit all the points too, like mechanically speaking, but no, I think that's really cool. I'm really excited about who I'm sure will be a very good boy.
I'm also very excited about a very good boy.
Yeah, I love these very different but very I can see these three energies harmonize very well, which is kind of a little bit part of the game too.
Yeah.
And it's also fine to not know exactly what the character is yet. One part of like there's advice around these kinds of games where it even says, oh yeah, character creation lasts for the entirety of the campaign. Like in the very last session of the campaign, you can still find out new stuff about the character that you didn't know beforehand. Part of this is even reflected in very all the way down on your sheets, where it tells you what you get XP for, actually. The second one, where it says you address a challenge with. That's something you get rewarded about what you get to do and what you want to do, or it should match what you want to do as a player with this character, right? But then the other one is about expressing your beliefs, drives, heritage, or background. So every time you discover something new or can tell something new at the end of a session, you can like reference that and, oh, we saw this character do this or act out of that kind of motivation this session, and you get XP for it. Yeah.
I like the way that this system handles XP. It feels very Burning Wheel in a way.
That's it's very true. Yeah, it's kind of, in a way, it's almost like without the necessary hassle of writing your belief before the session. You can basically be at the end of the session, well, obviously my character has this belief. We saw that, right? And then make that, like, double down on that, give that weight by taking XP for it.
Yeah.
And the other thing is, it's kind of a side note right now, but it's always your decision. It's not me giving you XP. It'll never be that.
Mm-hmm.
Which is very nice for me, actually.
Don't have to make the call.
Yeah, I hate being the GM who's like, oh yeah, I'm so generous, am I not? Right? I think you can have experience points for that.
Yeah.
Ugh.
Or if you're in Steven's position, being the GM who gets bullied into giving us XP.
Yeah, exactly. Like,
bless his heart.
You'll have to sleep at night with your decisions about how much XP you earned.
That's all it is.
Cool. So we've picked playbooks. Then I think all of you already chose a substrate, right?
Yes.
Do you want to say more about that at this point? Something you think everybody should know? Because that might be like something people might notice right away, or you want to discuss with the group.
I'd say Noon is pretty much a normal human, but slightly to the left. Where at first glance, you're like, oh yeah, that's just a normal human. And then you're like, well, his ears are too pointy and his teeth are too sharp, and no regular person has, white hair and eyes that are that black. And I think the one thing about him that he's unnaturally quiet, and you'll be like, if he's not talking, you won't notice that he's in the room with you. But he talks a lot, so it doesn't happen that often.
That's good. I'm glad you added that. I just saw the Invisible Man movie, and it was all about like being creepy in a room with nobody realizing it, and it was a totally different flavor.
No. It's like unintentional on his part. He doesn't do it on purpose.
It's like you talk a lot, and then like someone is like listening but busy with something else, and then you like do fall quiet, and then they're like, okay, now I can finally like say something I wanted to say, and then they turn around and then you're gone.
Yeah. Or they think I've left the room.
Yeah.
And then they're like, and then I'm still there.
Yeah.
It's like that.
Nice.
Or you'll be like in the middle of the night, and you're like, I have to go get water from the kitchen. And you'll like be in the kitchen, you'll turn on the sink, and you're like lean up back against the counter sipping the water. And then he's standing there also in the darkness, and he's like eating ice cream out of the carton.
Without like, making any sound.
Yeah.
No, I love that.
I don't want to make any presumptions.
His substrate is modified.
I don't want to make any presumptions about what the backstory is about being like engineered and or frozen in a lab, but I love the idea that like crafted as a perfect stealth assassin and now uses it to silently eat ice cream in the dark.
He doesn't know his purpose or who he was.
Doesn't know.
If he can be like weirdly silent, he's going to use it to sneak ice cream. And maybe chocolate too.
Nice.
I bet he's quite the shoplifter.
Criminal.
I went back and forth a lot, but I think I'm just going to go with standard. Hyacinth is just a normal human.
Yeah.
Yeah, and like I don't necessarily know what the culture of like what the different substrates kind of think about each other, and like I don't want to be like weird standard human pride or anything like that, but like there's a certain appreciation of like I don't have anything wrong or like think anything bad about people who do choose to get modified, but they're like, I don't know, I'm good the way I am.
It's like I would compare it to being like, oh no, that's like really cool, those tattoos you have, without ever having had the thought of do I want to get one myself?
Yeah, honestly probably hasn't put much thought into it, though I do get a familiar, and I do kind of want my familiar to be like a super transhumanist cat or something, like a cat with weird bizarre transdimensional semi-robot powers or something.
I'll be looking forward to that. Yeah,
a non-Euclidean tessellating cat. I don't know. I'm still feeling that one out.
No, I like it.
It's just every time you feel different about it. Every time you check, right? How about pals? Do you want to point something out about pal?
Yeah, I put down pal as modified, but not like sort of similarly to Noon, not a whole lot different, although it maybe stands up stands out a little bit more because he has big rat ears. And a little like his hair color is a little different. It's a little more, it's not quite blonde. It's more like bright yellow. But I don't think that's what makes him modified other than the rat ears. And I think he has a little sprout that comes out of his head. And I think the rat ears he was born with, but I think the sprout was a purposeful modification. I think his whole family is sort of a rite of passage thing. They all get a little sprout.
That's so cute.
I know. That's very cute, and I like it a lot. It should be noted that I also get an animal companion. And I was very adamant that it's like a feathered raptor dinosaur, but it has paws instead of claws. It's instead of it.
Does
flying.
It have toe beans?
Yes, it has toe beans. It's very good. And the I'm going to come out and say it now is that Noon calls it baby.
Baby.
Nice. Next step is heritage. Did you all already like read through that? You already chose something.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, I chose Pinion for or Pinion? Pinion, I think, because it's Pine Lock. So yeah, I chose Pinion for PAL.
For Noon, I chose Refugee from the Red Empire.
Ooh.
And then I went with the Starfire Pelagic.
Nice. And we can like get into more depth as soon as like starts to play a significant role for you.
Mm-hmm.
And then you get to choose a background. The way this works is like it suggests like general categories like artistic, labor, merchant, that kind of thing. And that tells us a little bit something about where you're coming from socially, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Noon has been, like I mentioned, taken in by like a religious group. So his background is religious, even though he's not like, I guess you could say, a member of that religion himself.
Yeah, it doesn't mean you're religious.
Yeah.
Yeah, it means your background is religious.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He has weird ideas about what it means to be a person, I guess you could say.
And those people, you've come with them. Is that the correct way to say?
I think I've left them when we got out of the Red Empire.
Okay.
I think so they were like a religious group, basically, traveling and fleeing.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
They took me in, raised me, but I think it's been like 10 years and I'm an adult.
Oh, okay.
Mm-hmm. And a person, and I'm like, I'm not religious. Like, this is fine for you guys, but I want to do my own thing now.
Yeah. Because in Roll20, there's this little bit of a map, right?
I have not seen the map.
I haven't. Oh!
If you scroll down.
I just found it.
There's a map of the subcontinent, Tamaris.
Mm-hmm.
And if you look to the north, there's the Red Empire.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And they are quite expansionistic. And we can read up on this in more detail. But basically, there's a treaty-defined border that they have.
Yeah.
And they've been expanding beyond that treaty-defined border. In the Meridian Valley, that's like more or less just a loose collection of little towns or cities, folks living here or there. So there hasn't been anybody to really stop the Red Empire or like to put up an actual resistance besides like maybe diplomatic. We do not approve of this, what you're doing there, right? And where the flowers are is like generally the idea, like we're like somewhere in the middle of like not inside of the Red Empire actual anymore, but part of what they more or less control though. Yeah. Just a little excursion.
Yeah. Sort of what the Red Empire has sort of taken over.
Yeah.
Yeah, that map is super helpful. Thank you. That's cool.
Okay. And if we like anything we decide today, if we like in a week or two feel like that actually doesn't really make sense anymore, we can go back and like just retcon that as we need to, right?
Yeah.
We're just finding our way together here. How about Hyacinth? What's your background?
Yes, hello. I have a cat stomping on my keyboard. Sorry. So I went with academic, kind of with this idea of magical marine biologist. I really liked all the things that they talked about being in the Starfire project, like the weird, mysterious crystal caves that might hold a dark and ancient secret, or the naval base that might hold dark and ancient secrets. And I think a lot of that just really satisfies our curiosity. And as a grad student, or that sort of feel of ongoing education, they do a lot of on-site research for those sorts of things. So not exactly not an adventure researcher, probably still very much on a budget and has to like file for a grant every year to be able to do these ridiculous excursions. But then like once they're there, they do like homestays, or like sleeping in hostels, or just like sets up a tent and like does that sort of thing. But I'm still part of academia, but
I'm obsessed with this idea where you're like an academic filling out like grants or whatever, like grant applications. And then I'm over here being very unconvincing on whether or not I can read.
Yeah, right.
So you're actually very much on purpose up here in the north for you.
Yes. And when I was glancing at the map, it actually looks like Pine Lock is pretty close to Meridian Valley, where that spot is, and close to the Red Empire, and kind of close to where Noon would be. So like it kind of makes sense that as Powell was leaving, that's kind of regionally where everything would be. Then I was looking at the logic and I was like, oh, that's at the other corner of the map. So yes, it would be a very deliberate, like, heard about this thing, put in the paperwork and packed their bags and headed to this location.
Yeah.
Oh, I couldn't even find it at first. There it is.
Yeah, right?
Yeah, the grant probably covered like the boat trip or whatever across the ocean.
Yeah, right? Like we'll take you to mainland.
Yeah, exactly.
Figure it out from there. You've got a semester. It's fine.
Nice.
Probably
And I think PAL we already know, right? As labor, I assume.
Yeah.
Yeah, we heard about
Farmer labor.
Cool. Then
What'd you farm?
Yeah, that's a
What'd
good
you
question.
Farm? Are they like what'd you farm? Like orchard or livestock? Is he a shepherd?
I want to say pigs, but I always say pigs when I make farmers, which is frequently.
Nothing wrong with a pig farmer.
I mean, it's.
I love pigs.
That's why they're called common people, right? Because they're common.
I want to say that his family owns orchards, but I think, or at least a lot of his extended family owns orchards, but I would say his family are pig farmers.
Nice.
Can I have a pig with me? Now that I think about it.
We did talk about pets before, and
we all get pets.
Yes.
Because Matthias loves pets.
Yay.
I do want to hear at some point, we don't need to get into it right now, but I guess how would you say, I guess if the subcontinent is called Tamaris, then it's Temerian, right? Yeah. What Temerian pigs look like. And if
I'm gonna go scroll through Pinterest and I'll get back to you on that.
Okay. Perfect. The next things we'll get into will be a little bit more like game mechanic-y feeling. So I think before we get into that, we'll take a little break at the top of the hour. And we'll come back in like 5 to 10 minutes, something like that.
Sounds good to me.
Okay.
So see you all in a bit.
Say bye, Mr. Pan.
is pretty nice.
Happy baby. Can I hold you like a baby?
Oh, we're back.
Yeah.
We're showing off how similar Beetle and Juniper look.
Mm-hmm.
So I'll scoot a little closer.
Can hear that purring.
Yes. Purrs very loudly.
Juniper isn't purring because she doesn't like to be held. As you can tell, she is not happy in this position. She's got her angry face on. But
he likes to be held, but I have to hold his foot or he gets really annoyed.
Yeah. I also woke Juniper up from her nap, so she's the right to be mad at me.
Yeah.
Go to sleep.
Oh, don't hit me.
She's like, why have you trotted me out for this?
Yeah, be careful. Otherwise we'll it's going to get bloody, right?
She's pretty nonviolent, I would say. Here, do you want me to put you back on my lap?
Well, that's no reason to push her further.
I do feel bad for those cats who are there are things that they don't like, but they're not really going to do anything about it. I'm just going to be uncomfortable here, but I guess this is my life.
Beetle's kind of like that. There are not a whole lot of things that bother him, but if there is something that bothers him, he's very much just, okay, I'm here. But there are things that should bother him, like when I close the fridge door and he's still in front of the fridge. That should bother him, and it does not, and he will not move. He will just let the fridge close on him. You're big dumb baby.
Shall we?
We're getting into the crunch?
Yeah, a little bit crunch. So, your playbooks start with... We're going to be talking about actions, action ratings, action dots. So on the right hand side you have so when we say action, what we mean is read, shape, sunder, trace, all those finesse, shadow, skirmish, wafer, bluff, command, connect, and tune. And what you get is from your playbook you already get 3 dots, and you will get to assign 4 other dots. The way that this is suggested is to put 1 dot in any action that you feel reflects your character's heritage. Put 1 dot that you feel reflects your character's background, and then assign 2 other dots anywhere you want them, to a maximum of 2 in one of the action ratings. Now, what do these actually mean? They are described. I just have them here on page, in a very nice manner, on page 44. And if I pick something here, what's a good one? For example, shape. When you shape, you alter existing technology or craft new things from disparate parts. And as an example, it's you could create a new gadget or alter an existing item. You could deploy machinery or repair broken tech in the field. You could turn the automated systems of a radiant installation to your advantage. Maybe you could use your technical expertise to control a vehicle, but finessing might be better. So I don't know if this is a good example because I don't know anything about D&D, but the typical thing is a discussion you always or very often see, well, can I use my acrobatics for this? And then the dungeon master goes, no, that's athletics. Or vice versa. And in this game, it's not as the delineation is not as strict. There's a little bit of interpretation that goes into this, and the players get to pick. So if we're playing it correctly, I will never say, well, that's a trace roll. I will say, oh, that sounds like something that requires a roll. And you will get to describe what you do, and you tell me what kind of action it is. So yeah, you can definitely go and like say, well, it does say here finessing might be better, but I'm good at shaping, so I might use shape to control the vehicle and make the argument why is it the way your character does it why does it feel more like shaping than finessing a vehicle, right? That gives us a little bit of back and forth about, what's the specific action like for this character? What I do, after you told me what you want to roll, I will tell you like how much impact that will have and how risky it's going to be. And then we have like a baseline that we will use to determine how the roll might go. But we'll get into that once we get into that. Is that enough information to make you feel like, yeah, now I know how I would spread my action points?
I already spread mine. Because I feel very strongly about me. Well, I love to do character sheets, is my thing.
Mm-hmm.
I love to fill them out.
Shall we go over yours first, then?
Yeah. So under analysis, I've put 2 into trace. Do you want me to read out the description for the ones that I've chosen?
Also, by the way, if you mouse over the action, it gives you a short descriptor.
Yeah.
If you forgot.
Well, I'll read the nice one because it's pretty.
Yes.
I just need to open that tab. So when you trace, you carefully track a target or search out people, places, or things. You could follow a target or discover its location. You could set up an ambush from a superior position. You could attack with precision shooting from a distance. Maybe you could forage for food in the wilderness, but wayfaring might be better. Maybe you could bring ranged weapons to bear in pitched combat, but skirmishing might be better. And then under kinesis, I've put things into finesse, shadow, and wayfare. 1 into finesse and then 2 into the others. I've put nothing into semiosis because I think he's not good at those things. He has a strong personality. He just doesn't care what people think about him, and he's also bad at magic.
Yeah. There's 3 things you're really good at.
So for finesse, sorry, about 30 tabs open. When you finesse, you employ dexterity, deftness, or a subtle skill. So you could dance or play an instrument beautifully. You could handle the controls of a vehicle or direct a mount. You could pick someone's pocket or unobtrusively plant a device. You could carefully and safely bandage wounds. Maybe you could pick a lock, but sundering might be better. And then when you shadow, you move quickly and quietly. You could sneak past a wild animal or hide in darkness. You could attack an enemy from stealth. You could cross a snowfield without setting off an avalanche. Maybe you could scamper across a cliff before it crumbles, but wayfaring might be better. And then for wayfare, When you wayfare, you explore safely and traverse skillfully. You could run free across the walls of a crumbling ruin. You could traverse a large forest to reach the other side. You could forage for food in the wilds. Maybe you could discover something hidden in the wilderness by analyzing natural features, but tracing might be better. Maybe you could climb a tree to get the drop on an enemy, but shadowing might be better. So yeah, that's Noon.
To interject here, what does actually a point or a dot mean in an action, right?
It means I get another die.
Exactly.
Right.
So the basic dice mechanic is you gather a die pool of 6-sided dice. You roll all of them, and if you only the highest one counts. And if the highest one is a 6, you do what you set out to do. If it's a 4 to 5, you do what you wanted to do, but it will probably have a complication or some other drawback or cost. And on a 1 to 3 is you basically fall short of your goal. That's like the gist of it, right? So having one die, and you can always get dice through other means as well. This, like, the action rating is just the baseline where you start off with. There are other ways to get dice. Having one die already means you have a 50-50 chance of succeeding. Like, probably with like some kind of cost, but still succeeding at what you're setting out to do. How do the other two feel? Do you want to put a dot for your heritage and for your background somewhere? Who wants to go? Yeah.
I would love to have some help with that. So how many do I... So there are some that have already been assigned because of my playbook, right?
Exactly. So as an Aegis, you start out with 2 in skirmish and 1 in command.
Yeah, I got those.
Yeah. And now you can so the idea is to pick an action rating that you feel is associated with your heritage and one with your background. It's basically just to give 2 dots that you give yourself to root them, a little bit into what you think your character is about, and then you can still give 2 other ones. So you get to assign 4, essentially.
4.
Yeah.
Okay. So I was thinking, after reading through them, I was sort of thinking connect might be really good. When you connect, you socialize with friends and contacts, form sincere emotional bonds, or persuade from a position of genuine belief. That seems very PAL to me. But I don't know if that's just would be from my heritage or my background. I don't think either of those would be from my heritage or background.
That's just your personality. That's what you are, right?
Yeah. I'm going to put 2 in there.
So 2 is already really strong. 2 is also the max that you're allowed to give it character creation.
Okay. You're very distracting. I'm sorry. I love you.
There is a little bit of logic, or a little bit of... it can make sense to spread out.
Mm-hmm.
If your action dots are more spread out, you basically become more... you're more sturdier.
Okay.
Why or how is something I can explain. But if I ever want to do something,
sturdiness, so.
yeah, if I ever want to do something bad to you, or something bad happens to you, and you want to say like, oh no, I want to endure that, I want to not suffer that as badly, you'll get to resist, and that always reads vertically. So if you can roll any of these just by clicking on the words actually on your sheet.
Oh, I'm gonna do it.
Yeah, please do. Try it out.
I'm gonna do it from a risky position. Impact standard. Bonus dice 0. So 6 and a 5. I don't know what that means.
It means you did really good.
Yay!
Yeah. Only the highest one counts, and a 6 is a success.
Oh, okay.
But you can also click semiosis, kinesis, or analysis, and those are for when you want to resist something.
That was not good. That was not as good.
Yeah.
Okay.
You will always, when you resist, you will always resist the consequence. It just might be more costly than you were hoping for.
Okay.
But the way this works is it reads only the first vertical row of dots. That's why it only rolled 1 die. Because you only have a rating in skirmish.
Okay. Well, I was thinking about Wayfarer anyway.
That's probably from being a farmer.
Yeah, when you explore safely and traverse skillfully.
Yeah. When you try to when you pick herd safely.
Yes.
Yeah.
When I gotta move my pig herd across the lands, gotta traverse safely. And then I was thinking, I could do read.
You could do read.
But I also thought sunder might make sense.
Yeah, you're kind of the muscle boy, right? As well.
Yeah. Pal is very, very short and very like beefy, stocky. So I think that I'm gonna do that. Would it make sense to put 2 in connect, or should I try and spread it out a little more and move 1 from connect?
If you feel there's something else you want to have, then it might make sense.
I kind of want tune, but I don't think that really makes sense right now. So maybe that's something. Do you pick up?
But that might be interesting.
More along the way?
Yes. You'll pick up more along the way, but it might also be like, oh, why do I have this point in tune? I want to play to find out why I have that. Why do I have some feel for maybe what like Hyacinth does, right? Because Hyacinth will have like a high tune rating.
As a witch, it defaults to 2.
Yeah.
Sorry, how many points do I get on top of the playbook one? Was it 3?
4.
4. Oh,
yeah.
Dope. All right, I'm gonna figure out where to put that last one.
Here's also a thing, if you want to save that 4th one, Dingo, I'm fine with you saving it, and like after playing a bit saying, I've still got that action point, and I think I want to put it into this because this makes sense for Pal to have.
Yeah, I think I'm torn between finesse and tune, so I'm gonna hang on to it for a second.
Yeah.
But I also I'm gonna write down so I don't forget. 1 action point. Okay.
So someone with a more even spread is Hyacinth.
I have a mouthful of cake, and I'm sorry.
That's fine.
I'm sorry about me. I'm sorry about who I am.
Don't be sorry about cake. I would be having cake too if I had any.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Yeah, so I started out with 2 points in tune and 1 point in finesse. And I like those, and those make sense. And I feel like those are things I would have picked for them anyway. The ones that I picked on top of those were read, because it makes sense for a student to be able to read. And I had flashbacks from the Burning Wheel campaign that I was in, where only one of our 5 characters knew how to literally read, and how important that was. And I know that's not the case here, but after Robin said that Noon maybe can't read, I felt it was important to specify that. But no, the analytical nature of trying to understand the world makes a lot of sense for a field researcher.
Yeah, the best Burning Wheel characters are those that can write but not read.
Just real pretty calligraphy,
yep.
But yeah, 2 different skills. That's outrageous. Anyway, and then I took skirmish because they are kind of like scrappy, I imagine. And it's like, yeah, those are the words that I will use. And then I picked command because I like that.
I think you're well traveled, really... right? Like telling someone this is how it's going to go, and not some other way.
Yeah. And just like confident in the knowledge and like what they have. Where I am kind of thinking some of the like fight me energy from Hyacinth. But yeah, so that kind of makes sense. That line is stressful sometimes. And then I have a 4th point, and I wouldn't mind just sticking that in my pocket until figuring out what to do.
Yeah. Yeah, that's fine. Cool. The next thing is you also get a special ability. Now, those can be a lot. You can... There's several ways where we can handle it. There might be something that like just jumps out at you because of what the special ability is called. Or it might be or you pick just the first one. The first one in the list is there for a reason. It's generally one that usually fits that kind of playbook quite well. Or you can save it and like pick it when you feel like, oh, now I know like how this game wants to be played. That's cool. If you click on the little bell thing, then it sends the details to chat.
Oh, that's what it's doing. I'm sorry.
So when I'm like
pressing the button.
So what does Ravens at Dusk do? You can be like, wait.
Oh, yeah. That's very cool. I like that. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to send it 3 times.
That's fine.
I chose mine already.
What is yours?
What are you going with?
I ended up choosing Nighthawk Tactics, which is I can push myself to do one of the following. Attack from an extreme distance beyond your weapon's normal range. Curve or ricochet a projectile to make an otherwise impossible shot, or instantly halt or subdue a single target from stealth or range. So pushing yourself means taking stress, correct?
Correct.
Okay.
So, do you remember how I earlier said there are ways to get dice different ways? You all have, like, underneath your details at the top, a little stress tracker.
And you can take 2 stress to get 1 die, correct?
Yes. When you say, I'm going to push myself, I'm going to take 2 stress, and you get an extra die for that. Which basically just means for 2 stress you can make any roll a 50-50 roll, even if you had no action dots in it. And if you push yourself, you also get all of these basically fictional positioning stuff out of this, right? If you want to be like, what was that silly movie where they curved the bullets? If you want to be Wanted or whatever.
That was Wanted, yeah. What a garbage movie.
You can be that with that ability. Yeah.
It's just like Noon curves an arrow and it just goes around a corner. And Hyacinth, who's like, I know how physics works, is just like, excuse me? And then Noon's like, what? Like, it's hard?
Yeah, you just gotta twist at the right time. And that's how you do, that's how you curve the arrow. You just gotta, like...
Yeah. You can also... Here's also... you can also pick one right now, try it out, and if you don't like it, we can change it up afterwards. It's really just a thing to try out.
I think I was leaning towards Charm Break because it seems very cool. Or Charm Break, that's the one where you can push yourself to do one of the following: unleash an enormous blast of magical force, call down a natural or unnatural storm around you. Mm-hmm. Oh, I guess those are just the 2 following. But gravitic spirals, that sounds cool. Whirling sunflower, that sounds super cool. It doesn't make as much thematic sense for the character and the type of things that they would do on a day-to-day. And so I was also thinking utility-wise, and I could be totally offbeat here, the Skyfall Safeguard looks super cool because that's teleporting.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
As well as Tithe was the other one that I was looking at, because I really liked Wrinkle in Time.
Yes, me too. I loved that book as a kid.
And they did Tithing. So Tithe is the one where you can communicate.
If you
okay, so it says spend 1 stress to communicate with a person tied to you in some intimate way. Yep. I am assuming what's not explicitly said there is like at a distance or like without speaking.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can just talk to people.
Other people can't communicate.
Yeah, you got to spend a point
in this game.
Yeah.
You got to spend a point to be able to read. You need a special ability to talk.
Look, like the Cataclysm or whatever really fucked us up. Like it was
we still have internet that stretches over most of the continent, but
if you want to speak, it's going to cost you.
Nice. I like that a lot, actually. Also, because here's why I like it, because there's always this moment in games where like the players start to player characters start behaving like they are able to telepathically communicate with each other.
Yeah. So my only thinking about that is how accessible of a resource is stress, because it costs 1 stress just to do it for a couple of seconds, or 2 stress to do it for a couple of minutes. And I guess I don't yet have a concept of 2 stress and what that means.
Yeah. So do you see your stress track? Have you discovered that one yet? It's at the top.
Yep, there it is. Okay.
So if that ever fills up, you earn yourself a quirk. Like, you become one of the things on the right-hand side toward that.
Oh, okay.
And so basically, how the game is structured is you'll actually go and do specific missions or assignments where you get things done. Like, those are like high tension scenes, right? To accomplish something specific for your crew or your community, that will usually mean you will accrue stress through getting things done, because things are risky and you have to resist consequences and all that kind of stuff, and use your special abilities. And after you've accomplished something, there'll come a phase where we play downtime, and in downtime you will engage with your relief, and that's how you decompress and you clear stress again.
Okay.
So the mechanical bit here is like trying to manage your stress, that you don't overuse it, because then you acquire a quirk. Though that's kind of interesting. Acquiring a quirk will also give you another XP trigger. Yeah,
there's not a single quirk on there that I wouldn't be happy to have.
Yes. And after all, like, none of us know what anxiety is, as we learned before the game today.
Yeah.
So
we might want to explore that in this game.
Also, looking at Haunted. So I like Kythe because it seems actually really readily usable. And then the super magic and teleport can be things that I aspire to.
Yeah, or you unlock. So usually how these things work is like via tune you can do magic stuff, right? Mm-hmm. Potentially. We still need to figure out like what kind of scope that is, like how strong, how magic works. Like that'll be a thing. Like if anyone of you wants to lean into that, probably the witch will. But theoretically, you could already say, "Oh, now I want to teleport over there," and I'd be like, "Okay, how?" And then you tell me how. You're going to tell me you're going to use tune for that, and I'm like, okay, that seems, I guess, yes, but it seems kind of risky.
So I'd have to say, like, I've been studying physics, and I think that by specifically connecting these dots, or like using my Kything, and I know that Kything connect to mine, so I'm going to teleport my body to another person's body after I open that channel with Kything. That's like, oh, all right, that makes enough sense for you to try to not split your body in half by teleporting.
Exactly, and then we'll have a roll, and there will probably be a risk associated with it, right? But once you take that special ability, you can do it much more reliably. Mm-hmm. But that's how you can set you up for the future, to play towards what interests you.
Maybe I just want to dump. Oh, I'm not allowed to start higher than 2.
Yeah.
Okay, I was gonna say maybe I just want to dump my last point to give myself a 3rd dot in tune and just BS everything with magic. I will not be a troll. I'm sorry.
That's fine. We'll have fun. Like, try it out. How about you, pal? Does anything look like interesting or like jump out at you, or is it all a bit? What do all these things do?
For the special abilities?
Yeah.
I was kind of looking at. I mean, we start with one, right? I think the Aegis starts with Interceptor. When you protect. Hold on.
Oh, right. Yes, you start with one that's just given to you.
Yeah. When you protect teammates or NPCs, take plus 1d to your resistance roll. Okay.
Yeah, that's true.
Awesome.
So you all have two. I think it's probably 7th Sense for Noon, and for Highest Sense it's always Charm Work. That's just one you get out of the box.
Mm-hmm. I was thinking... Ooh, okay. So there's three that kind of stand out to me. Flow and Crash. When you take harm while protecting your crewmates or NPCs, clear 1 stress and take 1d to your next roll against the source of harm. And then I'm going to say this wrong. Titanomac? Titanomac?
Yeah, Titanomac.
Titanomac. Okay. You can push yourself to do one of the following: perform a superhuman feat of physical force, engage a small gang on equal footing in combat.
Yeah, that sounds familiar, right?
Yeah.
You count as a small gang. Yeah.
Yeah. Or when I was kind of looking at if I want to put one into tune, would be Spirit Soldier. You know how to fight against targets that radiate exotic energy. You gain potency in combat versus spirits and exotic technology.
Mm-hmm.
How many do I get to take?
You get 1.
1. Okay.
For
so
now.
I can choose 1 for now.
Yeah. And
that's hard.
You were correct. The very top one you automatically get, and then one that you get to choose. Again, we do not need to lock this in now, but it might be fun to start with one, and when you feel like it doesn't really fit after playing a session or two, we can still switch it around, even if you've used it. That's not an issue.
I think well, okay. Titanomac might not make sense for starting out. So maybe Flow and Crash or Spirit Soldier would be better. I'm gonna go with Flow and Crash for right now, and then if I think something else fits better, I might switch.
Okay. Cool. Now come the really neat things, but yeah, that'll fit perfectly with our second break, and that is, if you look at the right hand side, you all have friends.
Yay!
Right?
Oh, I've got scrappy friends.
You've got scrappy friends, yes. What this means is you actually know all of them. Like, you're going to pick one of them who's like who you have a close relationship with, and one that is your rival.
Can it be like a sexy rival?
Definitely. So you'll be marking.
Is there any other way to have a rival?
No, there isn't.
You can always get rivals to play.
Mm-hmm.
So it could be rival or enemy, right? It doesn't, like, you get to color what that is like. The thing is, in the game, when you want to get in touch with any of your friends, you can, unless like there's like other circumstances that are kind of special or anything, but in general, you can always get in touch with these people. So it'll be interesting. Like it introduces like a whole host of NPCs right away. If you actually look in the book under your playbook, it comes with like suggestions what they might be if you want to, but it's completely up to you to use them. So because I've got the images open here, for example, they've got Mallory, a pragmatic soldier. And in the book, it does this thing where it says a sparring partner who keeps you on your toes, or a terrifying, competent enemy. That might be a neat thing to look at.
What page is that?
That's the 47.
I see it.
They also provide. That's also where you can look up a little bit more detail about your special abilities, if you have questions about them.
Oh, okay.
So you can think about that. They will be like they're just kind of a resource that you have, right? In a sense of, I know someone. Like, you don't have to ask me if you know someone, if it's on your sheet already, who does that kind of thing. And also, they're like, you can make stuff up about them if you need them for like some fictional reason, and you can explain that to us. Then yeah, that's probably what we'll go with. I might ask like a couple of questions, and like, okay, but why would they be helping you? Or if they're like not your close relationship, then they probably expect some recompense if you ask them for a lot and that kind of stuff.
Can we take friends from other playbooks, like sub out friends from other playbooks if we wanted to?
Sure.
I gotta look at the other playbooks now because I just got a whole
So it's a dirty secret. You could also take special abilities from other playbooks.
Well, I know. It's just our first one has to be from ours, right?
No.
Well, the starting one does,
yeah,
but any you choose after that.
Yeah, it can be from any playbook.
I don't think even the starting one has to be. You could just pick because you've got experience on there. What you can pick is the starting ability. Right? There's a special ability and a starting ability. That's the tricky one. Like on the actual sheets, it has the for Aegis, it's Interceptor. But you could pick from another source if you wanted to. But that would mean you would have to read like through all of them. I don't know if you want to do that. But if you have like a specific friend that you want from another playbook, sure. Like just tell me about it. Like, especially if you want to pick one that someone else like that might intersect with one of the other characters.
Yeah. And I was thinking too, like with the with Hyacinth, they might have one of the friends listed in the scholar section since they're a student.
Yeah.
Oh, that's not a bad idea. I was just getting really excited that one of the people that I know is Ashling, the how do they describe it? Like mysterious spirit or something.
Mm-hmm.
A myth come to life.
Oh yeah, I have one kind of like that. Iroy, the memory of an ancient battle.
Yeah, that's super cool.
After that, you will also get to choose a relief, which we do not need to do today. But it might be helpful to start thinking about it, what it might be.
What if we have chosen it?
Then it's like fine.
Okay.
It's great. That's the thing, the activity you do to relieve stress, basically. And you can overindulge that kind of stuff. So it can also get you into trouble during downtime. But it's that's on page 39. After the special abilities and choose a close friend and rival comes choose your relief. The couple of categories again, like affirmation, commitment, faith, pleasure, solitude, thrills, or weird. The categories don't really matter that much. They're just they're there to help you. Like, okay, those are different paths I can think along for my relief.
Hyacinth is going to be into some weird shit. They gave me the option weird. I don't know what it is yet.
Consort with mysterious spirits. It's an example they give here in the book, right?
Listen, I would also take relief from laying down in a swamp.
I did think mud bath. just simmers in mud, let it dry, crack it off.
Actually, that sounds really satisfying. Kind of like, when you let glue dry or something.
Yeah, you gotta peel it off. On the face, you get to see the blackheads. They get pulled out.
Yeah. All that good stuff.
And they can't do that too much because it's just self-care. Like their skin's getting dry, like self-care. Self-care. Just doing me.
My mud is dry. My skin is clear.
Yeah. So, I think we'll go to another break, and when we come back, we'll set a little scene together. Which we'll collaborate on.
Sounds good.
Sounds good to me.
Okay. So then we'll be back in 5 to 10. Hi. All right, now, so we know a couple of things. We know of our 3 striders now. That's what these people are called in the world, like, who go out and get stuff done. And we know that there's this little settlement on top of, like, ancient radiant ruins that are, like, half buried in the earth here, in one of the hills there. But it made for great ground to, like, build, like, a house or 2 on it. So there's this little village that's been built on top of those. Somewhere in the north of the Meridian Valley. Probably not the first people who like set up, or at least as far back as anyone can remember, set up shop here are. It was probably before the Red Empire expanded this far south. But now they're, like, definitely inside the territory that the Red Empire controls. The question I now have is it them that are... What's the pressure of... what's the pressure that's making these people need to leave? Because that will lead us to my other 3 questions, which are going to be, like, who of you knew what this thing actually was or is? Who got you 3 inside of it? And how did you 3 learn and understand how to get it working? Right, but before we skip to actually that scene, which is probably inside of the deep inside under the hill, we kind of need to know what's the thing that created the conditions, what's the pressure that made you 3 decide we need to find a solution for this, for these people here.
My idea when you said this was that, the Red Empire is expanding, and if they're imperial, then they're going to be taking the resources away from that area. And so it could be that the pressure of the empire is making it so that, like, it's no longer sustainable to live here because they're, like, taking the land and they're cutting down the forests and they're
coming by, making unreasonable demands.
Yeah, they're like, we're going to impose a tax on you.
Yeah.
That where it's like, give us a bunch of your stuff or we'll, burn your house down.
Yeah.
Right. Like, we'll take it.
Does this come in combination with those folks you originally fled the empire with?
Mm-hmm.
That some of those turned up here, and they always had a reason to not, like, maybe they were persecuted by the empire because of their religion.
Yeah, that's definitely what I thought.
So maybe they've recently come here, and there's obviously some tension between Noon and them, and just because of shared history, in some sense. We can still, like, explore that further down the line, but then it's like it's an additional group of people. Like, recently this village has, like, grown to, like, maybe above a certain population that also puts it back on the map for the Red Empire to come now. Like, well, before you only had 6 dozen people living here. That's underneath the limit where we impose a tax. But no, you're above that. Or something like that, right? Like,
could it be that they have something that the Empire wants?
Yeah. So
I don't know what that would be, but
maybe nobody knows, but maybe someone also turned up warning that the Empire is coming around looking for something specific, and they've not been doing it in a gentle way if you're not able to give them what they're looking for. Maybe it's all these things. Maybe it's not 100% clear what they're looking for, or why they have increased attention now here. It might be of the population, might be a lot of factors. Maybe that's created a situation where people have started talking about, well, then maybe we need to leave. There's been talk, like maybe like someone has like spotted a patrol not too far off, or merchants have come by who've like told you about this.
So if the solution is if the kind of like proposed solution is to leave, I would think that whatever resource is important to the Empire is probably portable, or either that or just not as important to the villagers, either like something mundane to them that they're okay leaving behind, or it's something they're like, well, we're going to take it with us.
Yeah, and maybe it's like something like where people might be like, well, how are we going to take it with us? Like, that's a lot to carry. Because the idea here is, it's like you three are the key for getting, like for even knowing the solution and then actually implementing it. That's the premise of the campaign.
So we know that, I mean, meta level, we know that this, wherever we are, is going to be...
It's going to lift off.
It's going to lift off.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think it would make a lot of sense that we would be taking the resource with us, whatever that is.
It could be like that the resource is only feasible to remove if you have like a very large force.
Oh, maybe it is like, I don't want to say stone circle, but something that looks like a stone circle, but definitely has like some technological aspects built into it.
like standing stones, but
yes.
Ooh, I love standing stones. I think they're super cool. So
would it be kind of like the
and they're like
guts of the mechanism?
Like what?
Like the guts of the mechanism. Like ultimately what's interesting is this like kind of arcane technology that is buried there.
Okay, so you're saying that the standing stones would be sort of the key to moving, getting this thing off the ground?
Or either the key to moving it, or is somehow part of the contraption itself. So like, I don't know, I've been playing a heck of a lot of Breath of the Wild, so I imagine these are the towers that start glowing blue once you touch the right thing with the Sheikah Slate.
Yeah, and maybe they're like, it's a set of those, and they're like bolted into into what will end up being part of the ship.
Is it possible that they're not bolted into it, but they've grown out of it?
I do like rocks that grow.
Yes. Rocks that grow and glow. Yeah.
I'm sorry, he is right by the microphone. I'm sorry.
No, it's okay.
No, it's okay. It's very cute.
It's ASMR.
It's contributing to the chill vibe.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe the rumors have been like these exist, or they are known as things that you can find in the landscape. Right? Like they're not too common. But now the reports say that the Empire comes and digs them up and takes them apart and brings them somewhere else.
Yeah, and is doing something with them.
Yeah.
And so we could also be moving to find the other ones and do sort of a similar situation to sort of migrate them somewhere away from the Empire.
And if they're considered like a part of natural beauty, or just kind of like if they are not looked at as an imperialist lens previously by the people who live there, then that's kind of why there's a sense of not only we have a resource that we're using and now they want to use the resource that we have. It's now not like a battle of resources, but like this is our thing and now you're trying to exploit it for a different purpose.
Yeah.
One of the things that's interesting, you had mentioned that a follow-up question is one of us knows what the thing is. And I was kind of thinking that might be a good fit for Hyacinth. One of the other things that I'm thinking about is the description that they have for the Pelagic, where as a group of islands, they were like pretty regularly invaded and were at war, and like they're pretty constantly besieged. And it says that they kind of have a cold relationship with some of the other nations because historically none of the other nations has ever helped them when they are invaded. So it's not like they don't have sympathy for areas affected by the Red Empire. Hyacinth's approach to it would be almost more like, I want to preserve this thing. It's like, it's wrong that these people are being displaced.
Yeah.
And like, yeah, but like, why didn't you feel that over the last several centuries when we were constantly beset by all of these other nations?
I like that too.
That's what you mainlanders do. It's you invade.
Yeah. I also like that because I definitely don't want to paint the Red Empire as like the big evil empire and only that, right? So I like that immediately, like.
And of course, their argument would probably be like, "You're not even using this. This is just stones for you."
Yeah, you haven't researched into what this is or what it's for, or you know nothing about it, and you're not touching it. And
yep. But then, like, matters are further complicated because, from their point of view, you're now harboring like dangerous people. I mean, that's like to be contested, right? They just like of a different religious group, but maybe that's how the Empire puts it. But yeah, you're offering, and you three are the ones who now like would offer know of a solution and decide to take action. So I think yes, it makes sense that Hyacinth has an idea what this thing actually is that everybody's built their homes on.
That would also be their impetus for going there in the first place.
Yeah, that's why you've come here to research this. But I think it's not that easy to like just like, oh yeah, what's the thing that who of the other two was then the one who made it possible to even like find like the inner workings of the ship, the thing like that might at the end like maybe function as the engine room, the thing that you might do like make that you start up again.
Yeah, I think it makes sense for me at least to have Noon be it, the person, because I think he'd be like, yeah, there's like a cave here that goes a lot, and I can like follow, and like if it's kind of labyrinthian on the inside, be able to retrace and map out our steps, kind of thing.
Nice. Yeah. Okay. Then that is actually the thing where I want to start off. And so I think you've reached what maybe later will be called the heart of the ship. And I imagine it's a circular chamber that you didn't need to bring, like on the way here you had to have like a light source of some kind to get here. But once you've arrived here, you already saw from like a strange pulsing glow as you made your way here, that there's an energy source buried deep inside, and it's in this chamber, and it's gently glowing and pulsating. And I think I just want to go around and want to hear about a detail of like what you pick up on, like something technologically arcane that you think you can make sense of what it might be for inside of this heart of the ship.
I think Hyacinth would pick up most on like parts that make it kind of look more like a ship, like anything that's like something decidedly nautical, like maybe even a viewing port or something, just because they've explored the old decrepit ships of the naval base on the project, where there might be something like, this looks like something that would be on a ship. Like this porthole thing looks like it would be something not buried this far underground.
So do you find like glyphs of some kind that you feel like, oh, these are like the cardinal directions, and they're inset into like a plate that might move, so it would like function like a compass or something like that, right?
Yeah, I could see that, or like a periscope even that doesn't go high enough to see above ground.
Yeah, because someone built a house there right in front of where it would.
Yeah, so something that would allow for or something that would only be necessary in a craft that was actually immobile. So yeah, I think a compass plate makes sense, like a navigational compass plate.
Yeah.
I think what Noon finds is you described it as the heart of the ship, so it makes sense to me for there to be veins and arteries supplying it. And I think they are very organic in nature, so it's not like rubber tubes with like chemical fluid. I think there's like some that are intact and some that are damaged, but they are like blood vessels and like tissue on the outside and on the inside, and narrow and pliable in a way.
Yeah.
And knowing that if this is biological and if it's alive, then it can be, stitched back together and healed.
I think sort of building off of those two things, especially once you both sort of point them out, I think Pal sort of can put those two things together, and begin to see how this thing not operates, but how you sort of use it, how you control it, where the switches are, where the buttons are, and I think
the very practical side.
Yes.
Like when Noon points out, oh, these look like arteries, right? And Hyacinth pointed out, well, this looks like a navigational tool. And you've got like the power source that's like pulsating and glowing. Yeah.
Yeah.
You make the connection. Oh, we need to get the energy through the veins into the navigational tool or whatever. That kind of thing.
Exactly. Like this is where this goes, and it feeds into this sort of panel or glyph, and this glyph, tells us this. Kind of like I want to say that Pal is almost feeling like he's learning how to drive a tractor for the first time, trying to figuring out like, okay, which one makes it go, which one lifts up the bucket, which one puts it back down, and sort of which ones. I think what Pal figures out is which ones they need right now and where they can sort of conserve their resources and let those arteries lie as they are until they figure out a way to sort of fix them.
Yeah. So is this the case that this reminds you of, because like Pine Lock is kind of very isolated, right? Mm-hmm. So maybe this all reminds you of something that the others couldn't know about, that like the Pinion have.
Yeah.
Like tractors, for example.
Yeah. Well, and I think this is actually something that sort of a organic technology, maybe not on the same scale, or it may not even look the same, but I think they do in Pine Lock use some kind of version of that organic arcane technology, whether it be these little
that you have to grow first.
Yeah. Like if we grow this plant and it sort of starts out as this sort of glowing ball, and we watch it, we have to direct it to roll, and it disperses the seeds itself and things like that. Or kind of the similar kind of on a smaller scale blend of nature and technology.
Yeah, you have like tech gardeners.
Yeah, kind of. Like, yeah. And specialized, it could be like specialized people who work on like these tractors that maybe work in a similar way, have sort of a similar vein and energy to them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I like that. So do you...
yeah. Oh, go ahead.
No.
I was going to say, so when Pal is focusing on the glyphs that, or you said the things that we need right now so we can more efficiently spend our energy, mm-hmm. Hyacinth probably looks up from their notebook from where they've been drawing pictures of every single thing. And it's like, you want me to prioritize where? So there's there's things all over the place, and that's very super cool. I guess, can you at least like tell me what you're gonna change first, so I can write those down before they're changed?
Oh, well, I don't think we have to change a lot. We just have to, I mean, really just this room, I think. Focusing here, starting here, and then little by little expanding outward. So if you would just want to get this whole room really quick. I don't know.
I sure do.
I don't know how fast you can draw or anything, but if you want help, I can take a page and I can put it against the glyph and do like that.
Oh, sure. And produces from their satchel a roll of parchment and a variety of charcoals.
Yeah, Pal will take a couple.
Are they graphites? Yeah.
And Pal will take a couple charcoals and a handful of pages and sort of go across the room and trace over them in that way where you kind of like, I don't know how to describe it.
Yeah, do a rubbing.
Yeah, do a rubbing. Noon is like, she shows up behind you and says, I would like to help, but as you can see, and then gestures down to himself, and he's just covered head to toe in some kind of weird dark fluid.
What did you find?
What did you get into?
What found you?
I got into the machine, and I'm a little bit. Do you have any soap or water or something?
Pal will pull a big handkerchief, like one of those big handkerchiefs, out of his back pocket, and I mean, this is all I have.
I guess I can do something. Are you going to get more dirty? Because I don't want to have to clean you multiple times.
Most certainly, I am going to get more dirty. Yeah.
We'll leave you like this, and then I'll clean you up with a spell afterwards.
But here's the thing. The thing is, you know things, correct? You know how things work.
I'd like to think so. Okay. I know things.
Will this kill me? Will this make me die?
Does it hurt?
Are you allergic to lavender?
I do not know.
Then probably not.
Does it smell like lavender?
Among other things, but yeah, that's the one that most people are allergic to.
Okay. Well, if I am dead at the end of the day, then we will know why. The ship soup.
I mean, just let us know.
You're worried about the fluid killing you. I thought you were worried about my process of cleaning you, killing you. No, I have a very low fatality rate. No, the ship's fluid could very well kill you. Does it feel like it's corroding your skin right now?
Like a burning or an itching?
Oh,
it's a little tingly.
A little bit is not that bad, but a little bit.
Is it overriding your consciousness with a dark will?
What? See, I do not know what that would be. If something was overriding my consciousness, I could not tell you what it was. If it was dark or light will, I do not know.
And I did just meet you, so I don't know if you're overcome with murderous impulses, that was just you the whole time.
Well, I would say my base instinct is not to go and murder people.
Oh, okay.
Just
that'll be a good baseline for us then.
Yeah, so if I start, then you will know that I overcome by a dark and evil consciousness and stabbing you.
I'm sorry, I feel like we got a little bit too far ahead. How did that get on you in the first place?
Oh, I was under there.
Looks
under the. I do not know what you call it. I do not know. A console, a bench. At the ledge, there was a hole, and I went in it. And then there were the vessels, the blood vessels. Yes.
Right.
And
Gross.
then when I
want to see.
Well, here's the thing: is if I show you, then you may also get the ship soup on you. Correct?
I have gloves.
Well, okay. Well, yes. Let's all get messy, and then if we all die, then we will be, bound together through familiar bonds of death. Very good.
While I love the bonds of death, I think maybe I'll just stay at the top of the hole and then shine a light down. I don't really like holes.
Well, it's not so much down, it's through. It goes across, horizontal.
Is it a big hole or a tiny hole?
Well, I mean, you could. I'm not good with the measurements.
Well,
I could fit in, obviously. Are you more broad than I am?
Yes.
Okay, then perhaps not. But our flower friend here, maybe they can. It is. How do you say? Very messy.
Does the console tunnel look like it's connected to a go button you're looking for, pal?
Oh.
Well, I guess if we were going to find a go button, it might be in there.
All right. Well,
you're definitely looking for a hole of some kind, probably not one that big, but you're definitely looking for something that you have to put something else into. So
maybe it gets smaller the farther you go in.
Well, here's the thing: is if you had to fill it, you would need a whole person, or maybe several people, to fill the hole.
Well, maybe then we're looking for something really big to fill the hole. So maybe just one big thing or several little things,
like a tree,
or that big pulsing heart.
Well, no, I think is the heart in the right place. It is a beautiful heart. I do not see why we would move it.
We should probably just go take a look. I'll just go sideways. I'll go last.
I will touch the heart.
Oh, what if it doesn't?
It's too late.
Okay. So, I mean, all right.
Yeah, my question is, so how do you think to kickstart this thing back on?
Maybe that's what Pal finds. I think Pal finds the key.
Mm-hmm.
There's got to be some kind of ignition, right? Or, I mean, there doesn't have to, but I'm saying there is. So there is. And I think... I
guess, do you find a key, or do you find, like, the giant flying organic ship version of hot wiring? Like, do you understand
I was going to say, we perform surgery on the blood vessels.
Oh, boy.
Yeah, we essentially do a bypass here.
Yeah.
Okay. So question is, who does this? You do that. And you get to pick what action you want to use for that.
Ooh, that's a good question. Well, I didn't put anything in finesse, because it might be finesse, but I could also think it might be tune. Because this is sort of this arcane energy, this organic arcane energy. And I think that might be part of why Pal can sort of touch into that, is because he uses it on the farm. So I think it's mostly intuition and understanding of these of this technology to a certain extent.
Yeah, so tune is you align your senses to the exotic forces that underlie the material world, right?
Yeah.
So this is like, so the ignition is like maybe like these, you know how these puzzles go where you have to shift the individual pieces around?
Yeah.
And you just shift them around, so they obviously have like patterns on them and that connect, right? And you just shift them around in a way that feels right.
I like to think that since Noon is already like covered in ship soup.
Yes.
That Pal is sort of standing back and going, okay, now move that one over there. No. Now try that one and move that one over there, but then move that one down there and connect that to that one. And having you sort of move these kind of veins and arteries around in this sort of tunnel, to try and hotwire it.
Mm-hmm.
Because he doesn't want to touch him.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's super into touching.
Nice. So, let's have a roll and try out how rolls work in this game.
I would say that I'm I know that it goes through like these are all the things, but I would say that I'm assisting in this.
Mm-hmm.
That is what I was thinking. So I'm just gonna, like, the easy way for this to go is like you said what you wanted to do, and I'm going to tell you, well, that position sounds like controlled, and the effect is going to be standard, or the impact is going to be standard, and then we could just roll. Or we could step through this and look quickly at the options. So for one, if we ever, like, this is not a very complicated thing right now, but if we get into more complex situations and you want to manipulate and have more agency over the mechanics, do you see these two, if you scroll back up from the map to the top, where there's the overview, you should be able to grab those two flowers and use them as tokens.
Yeah.
So if we ever need to negotiate this kind of stuff, this could be like, okay, well, it's controlled position and standard impact. So if we want to move them because we want to alter what we're actually doing here, we know how to do that.
Okay, yeah. So if I...
Yeah, exactly. That's just for us to keep track of when we discuss like more complex fictional positions. The left-hand side kind of tells you how to assemble your dice pool. So that most of it the sheet does for you. In this example, it's like, yeah. So you would use tune. So you will click on tune.
Okay.
Then you have a couple of options to get more dice. You can either push yourself for 2 stress or accept a Lotus Gambit. Now I will explain what a Lotus Gambit is. That is basically a predetermined side effect, other thing that happens that I can offer that will give you an extra die, but will also always come to pass. In Blades, it's called the Devil's Bargain, and that might make it clearer what this might be, right? This is like, yeah, but definitely you will hear, and I don't need to be concrete or specific in this. You hear a loud boom outside the ship. No matter what happens, that could be a Lotus Gambit here, and then you're like,
so as trading.
Yeah, then you as a player, you could accept that or not.
Okay. So just trading an inevitable, like, this is going to happen no matter what the roll is.
Yeah.
For an extra die.
Yeah, exactly. And they were like, yeah, no, I don't want to have another complication over there. We've enough to do here. You could say no. What's obviously happening here is Noon is helping, and Robin already said that that's what she wanted to do. So Noon gets to spend a stress to give you an extra die.
Okay.
And you can immediately see that, it's cheaper to get for the whole group to get an extra die through an assist than through pushing yourself, because that costs 2 stress.
Mm-hmm.
Harmony is an extra resource or currency that the crew will have once we've created the crew.
Okay.
We aren't a crew yet.
Yeah, no, exactly. So in this case, it will be how many dice you have in tune, plus 1 from the assist, and if you wanted to push yourself for 2 stress.
Okay. I'll push myself.
Yeah. So on your sheet, you basically just mark from left to right then the stress that you've accumulated.
Awesome.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
So yeah, exactly. So when you click tune now, it should ask you for.
Oh yeah, I did it.
You did it. Oh yeah. So that's a 4, and a 4 to 5 on. You can also see that if you open the rules reference for action rolls. So you hesitate, withdraw, and try a different approach, or else do it with minor consequences. A minor complication occurs. You have lower impact. You suffer lesser harm. You end up in a risky position. So it's basically I'm going to present you with the consequence here.
Oh, okay.
Right. Unless we can talk a little bit through it. If the fiction sounds more like you would hesitate. Here's what happens though, and here's the other fun thing is that Noon is implicated because he was helping you, right? So you know how when well, I don't know if you know, but you've definitely seen it. If you if you start a manual shift car with the gear already in, and you don't have the clutch press,
Yeah.
the whole thing jerks forward and immediately dies again.
Yep.
That is what happens. Basically to all of you, but you two are the ones who are exposed, right? Who are like Noon, you're going to bang your head, and Pal, you're going to trip while here's something, you're watching all of that. So
Watching these two try and share one brain cell.
Yeah, Noon's like, oh, merde.
So what happens is it works, right? There's this thing where everything lights up, and it's obvious that you're supposed to push the whole thing in. But in the moment that Noon you do that, it feels like the whole hill does this leap forward. And so Noon, you would I think both of you. Yeah, Noon, you would take level 1 harm. Banged your head, and Pal, you would take level 1 harm.
Bruise my butt.
Yeah, bruised your butt. Yeah. So here's the thing. I think two things. You do not have to accept those consequences. You can tell me no. In the last minute, I catch myself. I want to resist that consequence.
Mm-hmm.
And then you do a resist roll. That will cause you more stress, most likely. But you actually get to tell the GM, no, that doesn't happen.
Could I tell you no and resist, not for me taking harm, but for Noon taking harm? Like if I say no, I
catch my friend, yeah, or something.
Yeah, I catch Noon before he bangs his head.
Yes, so that's called a protect, basically. That can be possible, and that's also where. So here's a fun thing, right? If you want to do that, you can say you want to do that, pal. Like, oh no, I'm like, maybe you reach out so that Noon doesn't bang his head against the console.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that's what Pal does. I think at the last minute, I'd like for him to sort of reach out and go, oh, watch your head, and sort of have Noon duck down at the risk of himself still bruising himself.
So here's the fun thing. At the same time, if you wanted to, Hyacinth, you could also protect Pal from banging up his butt.
Protect my butt.
It's been established that it is a good butt. So I think Hyacinth is probably reacting more to the change that everything has just gone through and the lurch. And since they weren't actively studying and interacting with the console as much, they were probably, just still looking around, studying, probably fussing with a little navigation thing and being like, oh, I can turn it like this, and I can move this thing like that along the charts, and then I can use this little push thing to move these boats across the battle map. They are very much caught off guard and don't immediately recognize the peril. But they do recognize that this is a moment that they want to be. They're like, oh, this is very cool. I need to know what's going on. So I'm trying to think of, I want to do a quick magic, 360 panoramic, just snapshot memory of this, so I can think over what just happened and what we can do differently. So just, I don't know, I'm not
nice.
100% sure, but I like this responsive, just kind of quick snapshot, and then I can explore this memory later, even though they didn't actually look at everything. They can store memory as if they had.
Yep. So
no, I'm sorry, Pal is probably still gonna bonk his keister. But but would want to kind of preserve the information in that moment.
Okay. Yeah.
So would that be a tune?
That would probably be tune, but let's wait a second and resolve the to resist. So we got that covered. So Pal, you're resisting for Noon.
Mm-hmm.
And the way you explained it to me, it sounds like so here's the thing, right? You always get to choose an action, but when you say you resist, you describe to me how you resist, and I am going to be the judge. Is that analysis, kinesis, or semiosis? This is obviously kinesis, I think.
Good, I was hoping so.
It's acting quickly. And that's basically, so you just click on kinesis and give us that one. Yeah, so that's good. And it immediately tells you how this works, right? It's 6 minus the highest die.
Okay.
So you basically take 1 stress from resisting the harm for Noon. So Noon, you do not take level 1 harm.
Can I pat you like catch me basically when we fall back onto each other, but like your buff bod protects me from the hard floor. And then I think I pat you on like the sprout on top of your head and I say thank you.
You're welcome. Should we try this again?
I've been told before that I am a little bit too tall and that I need to, make myself smaller, but I do not know how. And so as a result, I end up, hitting my head quite a bit.
I don't think you're too tall. I just think that sometimes some things aren't built with that in mind.
What the sweet baby gators were you doing over there?
Well, I was touching my hands were in. I do not know what this is called. Does it have a name?
Well, we were trying to jumpstart the thing and
the inner workings. I hit my hands in the inner workings, and
you made the ground move. That was really cool.
Move. I'm very powerful. You should be quite afraid of me.
Oh yeah, like the navigational plates that you saw earlier, right? That are set up, Hyacinth. Like they're faintly glowing now.
Can we do that again?
Do we want to like put down a cushion or something in case and so we fall so we do not hurt ourselves?
Well, I don't think we're gonna fall if we just push this in right here and then I'll just stand ready to catch. And this time since I'm ready,
remind me what I'm doing again.
So he'll come over and sort of like, okay, so put your hands inside like you were doing.
Okay.
Yeah, all up in there. Yes.
That's the sound it makes.
That's actually very accurate.
I have been told that I'm very good at the sounds.
And then you just push.
I push.
Yeah, it'll probably make like a. I'm not as good at the sounds as you are, but
no, it's a very good attempt.
I'll keep practicing. And then I'll just put this together over here. So you push, I'll put this together. And
do I push that now?
Well, yeah, push it now.
Okay,
and I'll do push it. And Hyacinth, you hang on to your bippy. And he'll put it together and do the thing again so that it actually doesn't lurch forward, but it comes to life.
So what kind of action is this now? Now it sounds like operating a vehicle of some kind, but you get to say what action it is. And also this sounds differently because it sounds like you all are doing something together, like as a group action basically.
Mm-hmm.
Is that
How
correct?
do group actions work differently than just like an assist? Or do they? Is it just kind of like we all assist?
No. If it's a group action, like for example, the whole group wants to sneak across the courtyard, right? Then everyone has to roll the same action, and it's basically everybody's dice get pulled together, and whoever has the highest result, that stands for the whole group. Except you need to say someone leads the group action. And if anybody fails, the leader takes stress because they have to basically make sure the one not paying attention doesn't step on the twig that's going to make the snapping sound, and that's that kind of stuff.
But we'd all roll the same action?
It needs to be the same one, yeah.
Okay.
So, for example,
finesse makes sense.
Yeah.
Because, like, it's less of a feeling it out and more of a, we kind of know what needs to be done. I imagine that Hyacinth says something along the lines of, well, there's magic flowing through here. I think I can help stabilize those flows. Just, like, make sure everything's going through the arteries once you give it a boost.
Alrighty.
So does finesse make sense?
Yeah.
Is there something else that might work better?
No, that's fine.
I was wondering what was the driving? What's the driving one?
That is finesse, usually.
That is finesse?
Yeah. It's basically small motor skills that you use to control like a larger vehicle. Like
or an instrument.
Yeah.
Okay. Let's do that.
So, so it's going to be controlled standard. It's controlled right now because there's no like immediate danger that you would take serious harm. That's why it's controlled. So everybody, it sounded to me like Pal is leading.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So you all click on finesse.
Okay. I don't have any dice or any dots in finesse. Does that matter?
Didn't you have one extra that you haven't spent yet?
I did. I put it in tune.
Oh, okay.
I fucked up.
So
no, it's okay.
It's completely fine. If you ever have 0 dice in something, what it will do, it will roll 2 dice and the lower one will count.
Okay.
It's okay. I have stat in this.
Everyone could still like push themselves to stress to get an additional die, but you don't have to.
Okay. Or we could accept a Lotus Gambit.
Yes.
We can always hear it, and we never have to accept it.
I would love to hear the pitch.
Though this would probably be like I mean, okay, the Lotus Gambit is pretty easy. Yes. Yeah, the Lotus Gambit is it'll just keep running afterwards.
Oh, like it'll just start going?
Yes. And then
that's fun.
And then it's just go time now. Make sure everybody's on the boat.
Yeah, and basically the thing is so success would mean you have some kind of control over this, right? Where it's going. But the Lotus Gambit is now it's on, it's going to be on, and you will first have to figure out how to actually maybe shut it down again or like do fine control of it.
Can we zoom backward or like flashback?
Yes.
Just to talk about our first interactions with the leaders of the city as outsiders coming in to fuss with their stuff. Like, are we like mentioned by the mayor to be here, or did we sneak in without anybody knowing? Because like, if the agreement was town council said like, yes, do something with this so we can get away from the Red Empire, then I'd be like, yeah, let's cook it on out of here. But if it was something where we snuck in and they don't know that we're doing this, I think that would be a lot more significant of a consequence, because now we're kind of like hijacking their city without them knowing.
I don't think there was like one consensual decision being made had been made, but on the other hand, there's also a clear and immediate threat. Like a decision would have have to be made very soon, or like maybe the first people are already saying this is taking too long. I'll go. It's the danger is too high. So and maybe you did ask. Well, we might have a way to get away, and what they told you, because everybody was so stressed out. Well, if you have a way, like make sure it works, and didn't further ask what your way was, right?
Yeah. And so I'm thinking if this sense of danger is immediate and people are already trying to like head out, I kind of want to go for it.
I do too. I like this.
Okay. Robin, you on board?
I'm also down for it.
Okay.
Then do we all get the benefit of the Lotus Gambit, or just one of us?
Yeah, this is the rare case because it's so big. Usually it's only for one person, but this affects all of you, so everybody gets a bonus die.
Okay.
Sweet.
Oh, and then that just replaces... Is that fortune roll? Is that what that means?
No, you click finesse.
Yeah.
And then controlled standard. And then it will ask you any bonus dice.
Oh.
Yeah.
I didn't realize that it was going to keep going. I thought I just had one drop down.
See, I rolled really bad.
How many is the Lotus Gambit one bonus die?
Yes.
Okay.
What did I get? I haven't looked yet.
Oh my lord!
Those are 2 1s.
Those are.
So here's the thing: is that it happens, right? Or do we fail?
No, it happens because that's kind of it happens, but everything is going to get worse now, in a sense.
Okay.
So first of all, pal.
Yeah. How much stress do I take?
So you take
3. Right? No, you take 1 stress because Noon rolled a 3 or below, and Hyacinth rolled a 3 or below.
Okay, so it's not 1 stress per failed die. It's just
you're trying to mitigate what they are doing wrong, and that causes you stress, but you also mess up. So
right. None of this is good.
We are not experts in this. We are not. I would say Hyacinth is as close as we get to an expert, but even though this isn't their special, this is not their dissertation.
No. So, hey, marine biologist, do you want to sub in shop class for a minute? This is science, right?
So I think what happens.
Is the same.
What happens? What happens is, you activate it, right? There's a lot of screaming. No, don't push that button. No, over here. That's too much energy in this vein. There's probably sparks flying. There's a lurch again, but it's like a lurch that feels like it doesn't stop. Like you feel like, when the elevator goes up and you have this short moment where you feel super heavy, and that lasts for way too long, and then you feel like you're not weighing anything for a moment. And then you're falling backwards. And from the outside, we just see the panorama shot of this huge thing with those little houses on top of it, suddenly burst out of the ground. Probably a good dozen yards up above, so there's earth flying everywhere, and then when the dust settles and clears, the first thing that comes out of that plume of dirt and and debris is the nose of the ship that's like tilted upwards, and the whole thing is like rising into the sky. And I think that's where we'll end it today.
We're all so stupid, I think. No offense to Hyacinth.
We're all trying very hard.
So at the end of a session, we'll do end of session stuff. That is a cool, neat thing. Who wants to start with that?
I don't know what the end of the session stuff is.
I'll walk you through. I've got your sheet open.
Okay.
So if you scroll down, and you can all follow along, there's a box at the bottom that says Mark XP. And do you want to read that out loud?
Yes, I do. Okay. Every time you mark XP, every time you roll a desperate action, mark XP in that action's attribute. At the end of each session, for each item below, mark 1 XP, or instead mark 2 XP if that item occurred multiple times. You address a challenge with endurance or force. You expressed your beliefs, drives, heritage, or background, or you struggled with issues from your relief or quirks during the session.
So the very first one is so that's an incentive to like push the risk, because if you roll desperate actions, which might be the case next time, the way the ship is going, you get to. Do you see where next to analysis, kinesis, and semiosis, it has these little dots?
I was wondering what those were.
Yeah. That's you can earn XP in those, and when they fill up, you get another dot in one of those actions.
Cool.
But then we have the you address a challenge with endurance or force. This is where you tell us if you did that. So an example here is when you prevented Dune from banging his head. That was
Pretty little head.
done via force, I think.
I was almost thinking that sort of not really a violent force, but forcing this thing to jumpstart essentially would be an example of addressing a challenge with force.
Yeah.
But I would agree with both.
Yeah, then you would take for both. That's for you to judge and decide.
Okay.
So
I don't think I expressed my beliefs, drives, heritage, or background yet.
So, first question: what is that 2?
Yes.
Okay, so it's 2. You expressed your. So that one is actually easy. In the very first session, before the session, we knew nothing about. We didn't even know that this character was called Pal. So we definitely learned something about your heritage and background. So that's like first session. Give me like those. You just get those XP, in my opinion. That's how I would argue in your place, right? Okay. Because now we know you have a heritage and background. You've named them, and beliefs and drives is something, and we'll probably explore further down the road. Like we learned a lot about where you're coming from, about the whole farming stuff, about how tractors work. So I think it's a lot. So that's 4 XP for you. Is that correct?
Yes.
Yeah, you can put them there, or if you would rather, you can put them in one of the attribute kinesis or analysis.
Yes, I would like to do that very much. I'll put one in.
What do we do when the playbook advancement fills up? Is that another special ability?
Exactly. You get to choose a special ability. So, yeah, you can divvy them up however you like, those 4 XP you got.
Okay.
Who's next?
I don't think I did shit. Except for like the drives heritage or background. I did not address a challenge with tracking navigation or movement.
I mean, we say that your tracking and navigation is what led us to that room in the first place?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I think we are counting some of the stuff that we just talked about as players and didn't necessarily like
it's also
blow by blow
right?
role play through.
Definitely. I think so. And arguably getting this thing to lurch is movement. It doesn't say here address a challenge successfully.
You navigated through a hole too, so
Yes.
Okay.
I didn't navigate through the hole. Navigated into and then back out of the hole.
And you let yourself be caught by Pal, all looped up.
You navigated your way into Pal's heart. I'm sorry, friends. The ship has sailed.
2 himbos.
Tall himbo and small himbo.
Yeah.
Wait, how big?
In the character creator, it's Noon is all height and no muscle, and then Pal is all muscle and no height.
Yeah, Pal is just this way and Noon is this way.
Yeah.
Tale as old as time.
Oh my god! Amazing.
I feel like Hyacinth is probably like midway on all of the sliders.
All middle sliders.
All middle sliders.
Not modified.
So my
wait. First question. First, so that's 4, right? Noon. Did we?
3. I said I was taking 3 XP.
Okay. And where are you putting them?
I don't feel like stretching it that far.
That's nice. Yeah. Where are you putting them?
I'm putting them all into kinesis.
Like, as if you had don't have enough in that yet.
Yeah.
Nice. Cool.
I'm gonna be so good at it. You don't even know.
Yeah. Hyacinth, how about you? What does your XP thingy read?
So it's when I address a challenge with charm work, wisdom, or care. And those are 3 words that I am going to want to remember. I was kind of looking forward to creating a like cleaning spell for Noon. Just draw a circle around you and then you're covered in soap bubbles. That'll be after the fact. We don't get to do something like that all fun and easy style until we figure the ship out. But I think there is at least the one for
finessing the symbols.
Yeah, and that was probably with like charm work as knowledge, even if it wasn't like an actual inaction of charm work.
You also, I just want to point out, because this game also has a mechanical support for flashbacks.
Oh, okay.
We didn't roll for you. I take the snapshot of what everything looked like once it was lit up for like a split second. Right?
Oh, so do we want to do a... But
do
you want me to...
We don't need to do it now. I just in the future, you just saying that and might become relevant. You flashbacking back to this moment in time because we already know it exists is going to be super cheap.
Oh, okay, cool.
Otherwise, like, you can always flashback and it might cost stress. Like, if it's something that you would have obviously done, cost 0 stress, which is this now is because you mentioned it. If it's something that's like, oh, yeah, that is a good thing to have thought of if you had done it, it's 1 stress. And if it's something like, how could you have known that? It's going to cost 2 stress. And that's how you can, like, yeah, I put a gun in that vase in the ballroom.
I love that this game has mechanics that specifically remove the punishment of players for not thinking of every single thing that their character would think of, because players are different people than their characters. I like that. Okay. Would you say that as 2 separate things, or are those one thing?
That was actually something completely separate from XP. I just wanted to us not forget it.
Okay. Or I guess if that was a use of charm work.
That was, yes.
Okay. And then freebies for beliefs, drives, heritage, background. I know a thing or two about boats.
And then we know about your academic ways. Yeah.
As excited as I am to get more dope magic, I think I am going to drop all of my points into semiosis. No, analysis. The thinking one.
Yeah. It's probably wise. Someone needs to.
Hey. I'm thinking just not very hard.
The thing about Pal and Noon is that their heads are empty, but their hearts are full.
That's important.
I mean, Pal did the thing of putting everything together. Oh, this is what this is, obviously. So that's definitely an interesting thing as well. Like,
yeah, he's got real good practical farm strength. Yeah. Farm wisdom.
And good pattern recognition, probably.
Farm wisdom.
Yeah.
Farm wisdom.
Farm wise. So Noon. Oh no, we did Noon, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah. Nice. That's it. That was an awesome first session. Thank you. I guess we go around and do outros, right? How do you want to start, Taylor?
Okay. I
heard you
Taylor.
have a Kickstarter. Yeah. Let's hear about
I do. Hey. I am Taylor. My pronouns are he, him. I am on Twitter at Taylor__. No. What word did I say?
Taylor Score.
Taylor Score. That's my new URL. No, it's at Taylor_CS. And then relevant reblogs go on at Whimsy Machine, because I also make games as Whimsy Machine, such as the Foolscap Octavo zines, which are on Kickstarter now. There are 3 tiny games in there. Fantasticine, which is a game that you play in your mind by yourself to help you fall asleep. Your breathing in and out controls the action of a very calming narrative, and it is a thing that I have fallen asleep to, and I think you'll also fall asleep to it if you have troubles falling asleep. The art in that one is by Maria Capelle France. She did art for The Chancellor and the Citadel from Iron Circus Comics, and it is amazing. It includes Substratum, which is like a bank heist that you perform in somebody's mind to unlock their true potential. Like if they're blocked and they need to learn the new power, or like unlock their hidden memories, you play a heist inside their brain as a metaphor. It's it's a metaphor, the RPG, and that is illustrated by Booba Plague, who does some really fantastic ink washes. And then there's Laser Beams Like So Many Stars, which is my entry for the Sad Mac Jam last year. And that is, you are a civilian and robots are really cool and they're like celebrities, but you're not one of them. You just have to observe them from the ground level, and their actions define your life. And that is illustrated by Oren Miller Williams. Very cool robots. Back it on Kickstarter now. Fool's Cap Octavo Zines. The end.
I'll go next.
Somebody else go. Okay.
I'll go. I'm Dingo, she, her. And you can find me on Twitter at Where's My Dingus. Tuesdays, you can find me on Off the Table playing Alas for the Awful Sea. Thursdays, you can find me on Indoor Adventures. That's where you can find me. You can find me on Indoor Adventures playing Ghosts of Saltmarsh. And then every other Friday, that is not off of this Friday, you can find me on Off the Table playing Tales from Thersha. And then obviously the other Fridays, you'll find me here.
Okay. And I've been Robin. You can find me on Twitter at r_Omulus. You can find me every other Wednesday playing Masks Planned Obsolescence on Playbooks and Pals on Twitch, Playbooks_and_Pals. I hope that's right. I always forget.
Underscore, then, not Taylor score.
Yeah. And then there is another Masks game that I am playing in at Anarisis's channel, and that will be on Sundays at a time. we haven't done our session 0 yet, so I don't actually know what time it is.
I think it's 1 p.m. West Pacific.
Yeah. Who's to say? Taylor is also in that. It's a My Hero. It's called Masks of Hero High. And it's a My Hero game. It's a Masks game based off of My Hero Academia, where we play teens going to hero school. And then I'm here Friday, every other one. And then podcast, Last Fleet, No One Further, will be released on Off the Table Session 0, March 24th, and Session 1, March 26th, through Off the Table, which we have. It's on iTunes, so you can search it up there. I don't know about Spotify yet, but I think that's all.
Yeah, thank you. I'm Matthias, he, him. You can find me at MTHSBLGR on Twitter. You can also find me in that Last Fleet podcast from Off the Table, where I play an officer and a DILF. I'm really looking forward to playing that, and to people listening to that. And yeah, this has been Songs for the Dawn. If you look at how my lightning has changed over the course of the last hour. None of us are going back. Apparently, we're taking off of Tamaris. Who knows where we're going?
We can't go back now.
Yep. Yeah, you did that first, Robin. Yeah, thank you all for watching, and have a great weekend, and see you in 2 weeks. Bye.